Hello, I'm Estrella and I have a question for you. Have you ever heard the word had? Well, I think that at least once in your life you have seen movies or listened to popular songs. So I know for sure you have heard had in them. Let's listen to a very well-known song of One Republic, Something I Need.
I had a dream the other night about how we only get one life.
Could you hear it? There is the word had.
I had a dream the other night.
It says, I had a dream the other night. Let's analyze the sentence by identifying its components. It has a subject, which is I. Then there should be a verb. In this case we have had after the subject and after it a complement. So we discovered that the categorization of had is indeed a verb. But how can we know the tense of this sentence? I had a dream the other night. The other night indicates us that it's an action which is not happening now, not this night, but a night that already passed. So this sentence is a past affirmative statement. Therefore, we can infer that had is a verb in past tense, specifically the past tense of the verb have. The main meaning of this verb is to own or possess something. If I say I have a car, means that I own a car. So in past tense it should be I had a car, which means that in past I owned a car. We can specify this adding some frequency adverbs, such as 2 hours ago, yesterday, last night, last month, last year, 10 years ago, and many others. As a result, we can say that last year I had a car. Let's see more examples of this verb in affirmative past sentences. I had a personal stereo 15 years ago. I remember you had a rabbit when we were kids. We had a cottage next to the river, but it was destroyed. She had beautiful flowers in her old house garden. Also, this verb is used to replace the verb to eat or to drink in some cases. For instance, the sentence, she had pasta yesterday, it doesn't mean that she owned pasta. It should be very weird, wouldn't it? It actually means that she ate pasta the day before that day. Another example, we had wine last night, means that we drank wine the previous night. Other good examples that we can use to represent had are the following. Mary had breakfast very late on Monday. Josh had lunch with her best friend yesterday. I had dinner with my boyfriend last night. Have you heard the expression have fun? This is a third use of this verb, which means that someone experiences a good or bad moment, which of course can be used in past tense. Let's see some examples. We had a good time at the party last Friday. They had fun together on weekend. A fourth use of this verb, it is when we put the preposition to after it. This is also a very common use of it, which means that we are obligated to do something, or in this case that we were obligated to in the past. For instance, I had to work last week, or if your mother says to you, you had to clean your room, but you didn't, of course it will not have good consequences for you because you had the obligation to do it. You actually had to do it. As you could see, there are various uses for the same word, so probably we can have 2 or more sentences with the same verb, meaning something totally different. For instance, I had 2 best friends when I was a teenager. We had a lot of fun together. As you could notice, it is very easy to use this verb in affirmative past tense, because it doesn't change according to the subject as other verbs do. In negative sentences, it is not complicated at all, because you just have to add the negative auxiliary verb in past did not or its contraction, didn't after the subject and before the verb in its infinitive form, which is have. So the sentences would be like this. I didn't have a pet when I was a kid. They didn't have fun last night. She didn't have breakfast today. They had to study for its final test last weekend, but they didn't. And what about if you want to ask something? Well, the interrogative form is very simple too. You just put the auxiliary verb in past did, then the subject, and after it the verb in its infinitive form have. The statement would look like the following examples. Did you have a pet when you were a little girl? Did they have fun last night? Did she have breakfast today? Did you have to laugh like that? Additionally, had can work as an auxiliary for a perfect past tense, like in this one. I have visited Paris before, but we are not going to study further into that now because it requires more time to understand it well.